Okay, in this video we're going to do number 7 and 8 from the Chapter 6 Quiz 1 review. And so we're now going to deal with a for loop. So it's going to be a little bit different. It will accomplish the same thing as a while loop, however, just a different arrangement. We are set up to have the variable I, which is at this first declaration is not assigned anything, so it's empty. And the next line down is the for statement. Now, in the for statement, the for loop starts with an opening brace right here, just like the while loop does, and it has an ending loop, and this is going to go right here, just like the while loop. So when you get here, you're going to end the for loop and go back to the for statement, just like the while loop. So that kind of thing is the same. Now, the first time through the for loop, now notice it says here first time only. You go to the first argument and then to the second argument and then into the loop. First argument, second argument, and then into the loop. And so the first part of the argument assigns I to be 1. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to assign I to be 1. Whoops, that's not a I, this is a 1. Okay, so I is 1. The next argument says is the Boolean expression, which we're evaluating to be true or false. Is 1 less than or equal to 5? Which is true. Since it's true, we jump into the loop. So we leave the third argument alone. Jump in the loop. Now in the loop, we find ourselves with an if-else structure that has three alternatives, so we're going to also have an else-if statement in it. The first line of the if statement is I, which is 1, is 1 equal to 2? Well, it's not. That's false. So since it's false, we are not going to do the if portion. So then the compiler goes and checks out the else-if section. Well, else-if says, is 1 equal to 5? Well, that's also false. So we're not even going to do the else-if section. So that means since we have an else here, we're going to do this now because this covers anything else that's true, which is everything else. So we're going to print out the word y. All right, so there we're printing y. The next line down is the closing brace for the else, so we're done with the if-else structure. And the next line down is the closing brace for the for. And so we're going to go back to the for statement. Now, remember, the first time only is when you go to the first argument and then to the second argument and then to the loop. After that, we are now going to do it differently. What we're going to do different every time after the first time is we're going to go to, oh, I forgot to do the pointer. So from now on, we're going to go to argument 3, then to 2, and then the loop. So notice that every time we got to go to number 2 before, because that's what tells us whether we're going into the loop or not. And so we're going to, when we come back to this for loop like we're doing right now, we're coming back here, you go to the third argument. The third argument here says to increment the value of I by 1. And so now I becomes 1 plus 1, which is 2. And then we go to the second argument, which is the one in the middle. And the middle is a Boolean expression, and we check this out and it says is 2, because I is now 2. You got to check our memory location. Is it less than 5, which it is true. So because it's true, this is where we decide whether we go into the loop or we kick out. The middle argument always tells us that. And so since it's true, now we go to the loop. And in the loop, we have the if statement again, and the question is, I, which is now 2, as we look at the memory location, is it equal to 2? And that is true. That means we're going to do the if clause, and we are not going to do the if, and we're not going to do the else. And so we're going to just print the word hello. Right in here, because we're jumping inside the braces, it says print hello. The next line of code is the ending brace for the if. We're done with the if, and therefore the if-else structure. So we go back, we go down past the if-else structure, which ends here, and the next line of code is this ending brace. This ending brace tells us to end the for loop and go back to the for loop and check things out. Okay, so now we're going to check things out by going again to the third argument, which increases the I, so I becomes 3 because we're adding 1 to it. We're incrementing it. Then we go to the second argument, or the middle loop or argument, and we're going to check, since I is now 3, is I less than or equal to 5? Which it is. So since it's true, we're going to go then into the loop. And so we go in the loop, and is 3 equal to 2? That's false. So we are not going to do the if clause. We check the else if. Is 3 equal to 5? Well, no, it's not. So this is false, so now we're not going to do the else if, and so we're going to go into else and just do whatever that says. It says to print out y. And so we print out y. We go, the next line is the end of the else. So we go to the next line, which is a brace, which tells us to go back to 4. The for statement. In the for statement, we start at 3, the third argument, and we increase the I by 1, so it becomes 4. Then we go to the middle argument, which is our Boolean expression. And I is 4 now, so it's got to look at our memory location. 4 is less than or equal to 5. And so so that's true. We go back in the loop. In the loop now, I is 4 still at this point. So is 4 equal to 2? No. Is 4 equal to 5? No. So we're not doing the if and the else if. We're just going to do the else. So we are now we're right here, and we're going to go and print y again. The y, after this, we go to the ending brace of the for loop, come back to the for statement, check things out. Again, we start with 3, and we increment by 1. So we get 5. The I is now 5. We go into the second or the middle argument, and I is no longer 4, it is actually 5. 5 is still less than or equal to 5, so we jump into the loop again, and we go from there. Alright, with the I being 5, we jump into that loop, and we go, is 5 equal to 2, which is still false. So we don't use the if portion, we jump into the else if. And else if says, is 5 equal to 5? Well, that is true now. So because of that, we are now going to jump into the else if braces, and we're not going to do the else. We already are not doing the if, we're also not doing the else. So in the else if, it says to print goodbye. So we print goodbye. And then the next thing that it says is ending brace, and then we're kicked out of the if-else structure because we're all done with it, and that's going to take us down to here. The next line of code is the ending brace that tells us to go back to 4. And so we go back to 4, and the for statement. And The for statement, once again, we start with the third argument. It tells us to increase I by 1, so it now becomes 6. And now when we take this Boolean expression in the second argument, then we go, is 6 less than or equal to 5? Well, now it's false. So that tells us we need to kick out of the loop. So we kick out of the loop. And remember, it ends right here. So the next statement is the print statement that says, see you next time. So I won't do that, all the rest of it, but it says see you next time. And so this is what we should have for number 7.